Dear students, in this video we are going to continue the discussion on gravitation. So far we have discussed about Kepler's laws of planetary motion, and we saw that there are three of them. You have law of orbits, you have law of areas, you have law of time periods, and these three laws describe everything about the planetary motion around the sun. And we have seen how these laws are deduced. Now we are going to do something different. This is deduction of Newton's law of gravitation from Kepler's laws. Now gravitation has a very important law, which is universal law of gravitation, also known as Newton's law of gravitation, because Newton was the one who propagated it. So we have to derive that law with the help of Kepler's laws. So first of all, see what is Newton's law of gravitation. Newton's law of gravitation states that if you have two bodies having mass capital M and small m, and r is the distance of separation between them, like this is the first body, this is the second one, and its mass is capital M and the mass of this body is small m, and the distance of separation between them suppose is small r, then we know that the force of gravitation between these two bodies will be given by F is equal to G mm divided by r square. Right? So this is Newton's law of gravitation. Now what are the Kepler's three laws? Kepler's three laws are: every planet revolves around the sun in an elliptical orbit, where this is the planet and this is the sun. Sun is situated at the focus of the ellipse and not at the center. This is Kepler's first law. Now Kepler's second law. Kepler's second law states that when the planet is revolving around the sun, its areal velocity is constant. Okay, that means the areas that it sweeps in particular intervals of time, that area is constant. dA by dt is constant. And third law states that the third law states that the time period of a planet, the square of the time period of the planet, is directly proportional to the cube of semi-major axis. So this is Kepler's third law, right? So we have to use these three laws and we have to derive this, right? So since we have Kepler's laws associated with planetary motion, so we will consider a planet here. So we have to consider a planet here. Suppose a planet of mass small m is revolving around the sun of mass capital M, right? With an angular velocity omega. Omega is equal to 2 pi by t. Here capital T is time period. So now when the planet is revolving around the sun, so of course it will require a centripetal force. Suppose that centripetal force is mv square upon r, where r is a distance of the planet from the sun. Now v, linear velocity, can be written as r into angular velocity. So this will become m r omega whole square upon r. So just do it m as it is, r square omega square divided by r. So when you do the desired calculations, you will have mr omega square. So this is centripetal force. So after that, put omega is equal to 2 pi by t, right? Once you do that, you get this. Now t square is directly proportional to small r cube. This is Kepler's third law. We have to use it. So when we use Kepler's third law, we are going to get t square is equal to kr cube. So it was directly proportional to r cube. When you remove the sign of proportionality and you replace it with equality, you're going to get a constant. So t square is equal to some constant into r cube. So that's what I'm going to do over here. In place of t square, I'm going to write kr cube. Okay. So after that, 1r cancels with 1r and you are left with force is equal to m 4 pi square divided by kr square. And after that, see, F is equal to 4 pi square upon k. This 4 pi square upon k is a constant and you should remove this equality and a constant by sign of proportionality. So you are going to get F is directly proportional to m upon r square. Right? So this means the force. This was the force between the planet and the sun. So the force between the planet and the sun is directly proportional to mass of the planet. So it will also be proportional to the mass of the sun then. So this means this constant has got the mass of the sun. Suppose we are replacing this constant by gm. Okay, I repeat, this was the force between the planet and the sun. At the end, it is coming proportional to the mass of the planet. So if this force is proportional to the mass of the planet, then that means it would also be proportional to the mass of the sun. Okay, so where that has gone? That means it has gone somewhere inside this constant. So this constant 4 pi square upon k, it is containing the mass of the sun, capital M. So once you remove this, you get 4 pi square upon k equals to gm. So in place of all this constant, just put gm. So you're going to get gmm upon r square, which is Newton's law of gravitation. So did you see that by using the Kepler's laws, you actually have derived Newton's law? See, you used the assumption that planets are revolving around elliptical orbits, and that's why you have gone up to till here. And similarly, you use the assumption that t square is directly proportional to r cube. That's why you got this. So by using all these Kepler's laws, you have finally reached Newton's law of gravitation. After that, let us look at several other aspects of gravitation. So again, I repeat, gravitation is that phenomena which deals with the attraction between two bodies on account of their masses, right? And what exactly is there? The mass of these bodies actually compels them to get closer to each other. So this is the phenomena of gravitation. Our entire universe is bound because of gravitation. Next, we'll study Newton's law of gravitation. Now, what is Newton's law of gravitation? Newton's law of gravitation states that the force between any two bodies is directly proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. So F is equal to g m1 m2 divided by r square, right? So if you want to see what is this g, this capital G is universal constant of gravitation. It has the same value throughout the universe. But if you want to see what this capital G actually is, suppose m1 is equal to 1 kg, m2 is equal to 1 kg and r is equal to 1 meter. Okay. In that case, m1 1, m2 equals to 1, r is equal to 1. In that case, F is going to come out equal to G. So this means universal constant of gravitation is nothing but force between two bodies which are having masses 1 kg each, and they are attracting each other. They are placed at a distance of 1 meter and they are attracting each other. So basically G is a kind of a force. Now we'll talk about the dimensional formula of capital G. See, F is equal to G m1 m2 upon r square. So capital G will be equal to F r square upon m1 m2. Right? So capital G is equal to F is mlt minus 2. R square is L2 because it's length square. M1 m2, m1 is mass, m2 is also a mass. So after that, this m will be cancelled with this m, and you are left with m minus 1 L cube T minus 2, right? So this is the dimensional formula of capital G. Let's look at its units. This is Fr square upon m1 m2. F is measured in newtons, R square is measured in meter square, m1 is measured in kg, m2 is measured in kg. So Newton meter square per kg square. These are the units of universal constant of gravitation, right? And this is its dimensional formula. I repeat, universal constant of gravitation is nothing but a force which is there in between two bodies. Those two bodies are having masses 1 kg each, and they are separated from each other by the distance of 1 meter. Okay, so after that we need to discuss about gravity. Now, what is a gravity and how can you relate it with the concept of gravitation, right? So next topic of discussion will be gravity. Gravity is a very specific case of gravitation. Okay, gravity is of a particular planet. Like gravitation could be the force between any two objects in universe. They could be any two pencils, any two pens, one pencil or a pen, any two planets, any two asteroids. So anything, like the two objects could be very different in nature also. Okay, between water and the air flowing over it. So kind of, that is gravitation. But when you talk about gravity is of a certain planet. Like if I talk about the gravity of Earth, that means with which force one particular object is bound to the Earth's surface. Like I know when I am going to throw the ball has to come down. It will come down and it will strike the surface of Earth. So this means that ball is facing some force due to Earth, na? So that is why it is striking the center of the Earth. So this is the point. This is gravity. Gravity means with what force one object is bound with the surface of Earth. Similarly, there is gravity of Moon, gravity of Jupiter. So gravity is of a particular planet. When you talk about gravity, this means how one object is bound to the surface of a particular planet, like Earth and the object. When you discuss about gravity, one object has to be Earth and the other one could be any object, right? So after that, we'll be discussing acceleration due to gravity. Now, when one object falls down, okay, we do notice it, but actually this happens as soon as it's about to strike the surface, its velocity increases, right? Because gravity is a kind of a force, right? Gravity is a kind of a force between an object and Earth. And if this is a force is always equal to mass into acceleration, isn't it? So this means if gravity is acting on the object and it is falling down, one force is acting over that object. But अगर force act कर रही है तो इसका मतलब ये है कि वो object भी accelerate कर रहा है, which means its velocity is increasing with time. Okay, so when its velocity is increasing with time and it is accelerating, that's not an ordinary acceleration then. Okay, that's not an ordinary acceleration then. Rather, that acceleration is taken as small g. Okay, this is small g and this is known as acceleration due to gravity. This is known as acceleration due to gravity. And how to define it? Acceleration due to gravity, g is equal to f upon m. G is equal to f upon m. To define gravity, take mass equal to 1 kg. So that g comes out equal to capital F. So acceleration due to gravity is a force of gravitation experienced by an object of 1 kg through the earth. right? So this is the definition of small g, and small g has the units meter per second square, because this is same just like acceleration, and it has the units meters per second square, or you can say newtons per kg, because force is measured in newtons, mass is measured in kg. So newtons per kg or meters per second square. So this is acceleration due to gravity. After that, we need to discuss the relation between small g and capital G. They both are very, very different. Small g means acceleration due to gravity. Capital G means universal constant of gravitation. Small g means like how the body is accelerating under the influence of earth. Like how the body is accelerating under the influence of earth. Right? And capital G means the constant which comes when we study Newton's law of gravitation. Now, if there is suppose this is earth, and this is the surface of the earth, this is the center of the earth, the distance between the object and the center will be equal to the radius of the earth. So this is the radius of the earth, right? And this is the object which is kept over here. The mass of that object is small m. The mass of that object is small m. Now that object small m is going to face a force of attraction because of this earth's mass. The mass of the earth is situated at its center, which is the center of mass. Okay? So what will be the force of gravitation between this object and the earth? This will be equal to F is equal to G mm upon capital R square, right? But don't you think that if some force is acting on this mass, it will be accelerated towards the center of earth, because every force is equal to mass into acceleration. So this force should also be equal to mass into acceleration, where G is acceleration due to gravity. Now this is the first value of the force, this is the second value of the force. So don't you think that basically mg can be put equal to g mm upon r square? These two equations can be equated, and small m will be cancelled with small m, and small g will be equal to capital Gm upon r square, right? So this is the value of acceleration due to gravity, and you can see the relationship between small g and capital G. Okay, so this was the derivation. Now we will be discussing the principle of superposition. The principle of superposition. The principle of superposition states that if you have one mass m0 and there are many other masses in the vicinity, like this is m1, this is m2, this is m3, this is m4. So the force of gravitation between these masses, force is a vector quantity, right? If you want to find out the total force of gravitation on mass m0, which will be f0, that will be equal to the sum of the individual forces. This is not an ordinary sum, this is a vector sum which is found by using triangle law. So F01, the force of attraction between m0 and m1, plus F02, the force of attraction between this and second mass, plus F03, and so on. So what have we understood? That principle of superposition says that if we want to find out the total force of gravitation on one particular mass because of all the other masses present there, then we have to simply find out the individual forces, and then we have to take the vector sum of all those forces. इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि एक मास और सेकेंड वाले मास में जो फोर्स होगा ना, वो बाकी वहाँ पे कितने भी मासेस प्रेजेंट हो, वो उनकी प्रेजेंस से इफेक्ट नहीं होगा. ओके, दिस मीन्स दैट. ओके, सो दिस इज प्रिंसिपल ऑफ सुपरपोजिशन. आफ्टर दैट you should remember that you have got the relation between small g and capital G, and that relation came out to be small g is equal to gm upon r square. ठीक है. So after that by using this relation you can find mass of earth and you can find density of earth, right? Before that you should remember few values. Capital G is equal to 6.67 into 10 raised to the power minus 11, and there are certain units. What are those? If you don't remember in case, so F is equal to G m upon R square, G is equal to FR square upon mm, this is Newton, this is meter square upon kg square. So yes, Newton meter square per kg square. This is the value of capital G, okay? After that, what is the value of capital R? Capital R means radius of earth, which is equal to 6400 kilometer, or 6400 into 10 raised to the power 3 meters, right? After that, you can put these values in this relation and you can find out the value of capital M. I forgot to tell you one thing, that this small g, which is acceleration due to gravity, this comes out to be equal to 9.8 meters per second square, right? So after that, let's have a look here. How can you go about it? See, small g is equal to gm upon r square, right? So m is equal to gr square upon g. When you put the values 9.8, 6400 kilometer and 6.67 into 10 raised to the power minus 11, then you are going to get the answer of mass. You're going to get the mass of the earth. Same way, when you are going to find out the density of earth is equal to rho. Rho is mass upon volume. मास आपको यहाँ से मिल गया, एंड वॉल्यूम इज 4/3 पाई आर क्यूब. लेट्स हैव अ लुक. मास अपॉन वॉल्यूम 4/3 पाई आर क्यूब, राइट? अगर आपको मास का वैल्यू कैपिटल एम, इफ यू वांट टू राइट इट एज gr square upon capital G upon 4/3 pi r cube, right? So now what is going to happen? This will be 3g square upon capital G 4 pi r cube. So r square will be cancelled with r square and you will be left with 1r. So this will be 3g upon 4 pi rg. So G is 9.8, right? Capital R is 6400 kilometer and capital G is 6.67 into 10 raised to the power minus 11. So put all these values and you will reach to the value of density of earth, which will come out to be around 5500 or something. So yes, this is mass and density of earth, and this is small g, which is acceleration due to gravity, right?